Hey guys, Molten here. Welcome back to this segment of Your Chess Analyze, where I go through any interesting games you send me or ones which I bump into, which I think would be very helpful for some of you guys to know. So this one is one I picked out from a chess.com game between around roughly 2,000 rated players. And here we have a Sicilian defense where white played the move bishop to c4, and this is a move I see almost all the time at like beginner to club level, and anything below 2,000 rating range you're going to get this quite often, just because it's the natural response against e5, so most people are going to play it against Sicilian as well. So it's really important that you know what to do against it, and here I'm going to show you one of the major downsides to this particular opening setup for white and how you should be responding as black. So you should really always be putting your pawn on e6 and looking to really harass this bishop on c4, not letting this bishop get much scope into the game, and this is one of the major downsides for white in this opening. Now you don't have to rush with the move pawn to d5. You can play d5 right away if you want to, but you can take your time. You can play moves like a6 as well and b5, which is what black does in this particular game. Plays d5, and then after the exchange in the center plays the move pawn to b5, and we see the problem here is that because white has wasted a few moves like bishop d2, he hasn't been able to bring the bishop out to the g5 square where it usually belongs, so there's not much pressure on this d5 pawn. We've managed to get our pawns up and grab a lot of space, and this pawn to c4 move is going to be coming very shortly. Now white tries to attack the pawn chain with the move pawn to a4, and after the move pawn to b4 attacking the knight moves away, and now black plays the move knight to a5, harassing this bishop further, looking to kick it with the move pawn to c4. Bishop a2, black plays the move pawn to c4 anyway. We get an exchange, and already you can see that the scope of this bishop is incredibly low, and as long as we can keep this pawn on c4, the bishop will be locked out of the game for the remainder. Here white plays the move pawn to c3, which is a mistake, but after the move castles bishop b7, we see it's also very difficult for white to move this bishop into the game, and it's sort of just stuck here. And this is the problem, like if white doesn't manage to get an open diagonal for this piece, then he'll always have problems later on. So after the move pawn to c3, b3 was played, of course. And here after the move bishop b1, we see the bishop is now not just incredibly bad on its own, but it's also causing problems for white's other pieces, like this rook is not in the game. So bishop b7 was played, knight d4, and here I quite like this move that black played, which was the move pawn to g6, just cutting off any squares from this bishop and also the knight. Bishop h6 was played, rook e8, shifting the rook across. We have the move castles, and now black continues with the move bishop to f8, offering an exchange of pieces. Now you have to realize in this position that you're essentially two pieces up, because as long as his bishop can't move, then this rook also can't move, and we're just two pieces up here, as long as we can keep this pawn structure locked up for the pieces on the queen side. Now after the move queen to d2, knight c6, offering a trade of knights. This move is okay. Queen to g5, we had an exchange of knights in the center, and here black played a very nice move. Queen to d5, offering more exchanges. We have to realize the more pieces that get exchanged off in this position, the better it will become for us, because of the limited squares for these particular pieces here on the queen side for white. Now after the move queen to d5, there's a couple of traps which white can fall into. If he takes the knight, then he immediately gets checkmated on this g2 square, so he needs to watch out for that. And if he tries to trade off queens, which is what happened, then again this favors black. After bishop takes, we had more exchanges, king takes, and the pieces are still stuck. Now the only way for white to really get the pieces out is either to play the move pawn to f3 to try and sacrifice a pawn and then get this rook out, or to play the move pawn to a5. So after the move pawn to f3 here, black plays a really nice move in my opinion, and that just shuts down all of the counterplay for white. And whenever you have a good position, you always want to be looking for opportunities to really just shut down your opponent completely. And here black plays the move pawn to a5. This stops any chance of white really getting in the move pawn to a5 and then swinging the rook across to b4. So this is a really nice move. King f2, we have to move rook to d8, rook to e1. Well, we're happy to exchange pieces in this position here. Rook check. Black played to move pawn to h5. g4, we had an exchange, so now we have the open h file to play with if we need. King g7, king f1, and now the king marches up into the position with the move king h6, king f2, and now the move king g5. Now, you do have to be careful when you're marching your king up like this that you don't get checkmated, but it's all fine here. Because, for example, king g3 is met by rook to e3, and white is very, very close to being in a complete zugzwang here because he just doesn't have any good moves for his pieces. After the move knight to b5, he's maybe threatening to play knight c7, so black just stops that with the move rook c7, a very sensible move. Knight to d4, and now black finds this move king to f4. A very nice idea to bring the king up, and it's not afraid of this check on e2 because now black can sacrifice the rook with rook takes e2, king takes e2, and bishop takes f3, king f2, and then knight takes g4. And now because of the sacrifice, we see that the problem is white is still completely stuck. It can't move this bishop at all, there's no squares for the bishop, and the rook is completely dead. Now, just to make things even worse, black plays the move knight to e3, and after the move king to f2, we know that the bishop is going to sacrifice here, and then maybe the rook will escape somewhere along the back rank. So black doesn't have any of this and just plays the move bishop to d1, completely keeping the rook locked in. So you have this very funny position here where none of white's pieces can really move. So bishop takes pawn, takes, and we see the rook is still stuck, it can't move out, and now black is free to just push the pawn up the board and win the game. Be careful of not stalemating the king with king g3, but instead we go for the pawns here, and black is able to clean up the rest of the game fairly quickly. So the main purpose, key idea of this game is to show you that well, really, as white here, you want to stop playing this opening. If you play this opening, switch to something else. And as black, you definitely want to be focusing on that bishop. That bishop is definitely key. Also limiting your opponent's counterplay once we got that really good setup of pieces, making sure that those pieces never got into the game, and finishing off relatively smoothly. So I hope you enjoyed this game. If you have any you want me to analyze, which you think are also quite good, feel free to send them over using the links in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Take care.